Alright, students, fine. Girls and boys, ladies and gentlemen, a very warm good evening to one and all. Myself Shabnam from the code Ark, and we welcome you all once again at day 22 of our Python SQL Django series and the day 60 of our overall full stack web development series. Okay, hoping you all are fine, doing well, learning, studying, practicing, working back at your homes and respective places. Good evening everyone. Okay, let's have a quick recap without wasting any single minute more of what we have done in the class last time. That was day 21, day before yesterday, and we were busy dealing with the files in Python. The only one type of file we dealt with was the txt file, that was a text file. We learned how Python opens a file, how Python edits a file. When I say edit means write the content, how Python appends a content into the file. Is that okay? Fine. Then we were also busy in understanding like how to read the lines of the file and how to count the words in a file, although that doesn't make sense on any industrial project, but that help us to build our logic strong for file handling. As the meaning of the title itself is file handling, that is how to handle the files. So those were some common process or procedures or some common things that you have to deal with we had discussed. Okay, fine. Another thing, we got a number of requests after the session that they also wanted to learn how to handle Excel files or maybe CSV file. So we have kept ready one document in which I have written the code how to handle or how to open a CSV file, XML file, JSON file, and an XLSX file, which I will be forwarding you. I'm so sorry for that. Okay, which I shall be forwarding you right after the class today. So that's for you how to use the open function and handle this different file format. Although the code that you will find in this document would be different from what we have learned last time. As I clearly told you, with the way we were learning, that way we can handle only text file. So if you're further interested to learn how the other ways also you can handle, you can go through that document. Is that okay? Furthermore, any doubt, you can come back to me. Also, in the end of the class last time, I asked you to study the with method, with keyword, and how to open the file with it. In case if you have tried and you did not understand, so the simple story or the logic behind it is, every time we open the file, the developer either might forget to close it, or developer might find tedious always to write the code f.close, file.close, and to continue. With method ensures that whenever the file is opened, it is automatically closed after it comes out from the with block. Okay, so make sure that you're using all the methods to handle the file. You may not know which one you will encounter when, but file handling is an important topic in Python. You need to remember that. Is that okay? Fine. Alright, furthermore, any doubts with respect to file handling and all, you can post us in the chat section. With keyword is automatically closing. Yes, Naveen, that's what I want to say. Understood? With keyword, this is how we write the code. Okay, although my VS code is also open behind, like with and then open function. Whatever is the path of your file, I'm not writing the complete path. Whatever is the mode of the file, say I want to open a file in a read mode, and you have to use another keyword, that is as any variable. That's it. Okay, now here on the with block starts. Okay, so you want to open a file, you want to count words in a file, all that you want to do, you do it. Okay, and you don't have to write explicitly f.close. This code is automatically handled by the with method. Is that okay? You don't have to explicitly write close the file. That will be automatically handled by the with keyword, I should say, not method but the keyword. Is that okay? Fine. Alright, otherwise how to handle CSV, how to handle XLS file, the document I shall be sending soon. In a 1 hour time constraint, we are limited with too much of things. That's the reason we might not be able to discuss each and everything point to point. So little bit efforts you need to put from your side as well. Okay, fine. Yes, okay, Navin, fine, thank you, and others as well. Fine, let us talk about the topic today. We are going to talk about exception handling. First of all, exceptions are nothing but errors. Okay, we all up until now might have written so many Python programs. Am I right? Every time we write a program, we come up with one or more than one errors. So these errors are nothing but exceptions. Although there is a vast difference between error and exception. Okay, now I might not have a lot of time here to discuss everything in detail, but back home, take this question as a self-study. What are errors? What are exceptions? What are bugs? Is it okay? What are defects? And what are flaws? Technically, in software engineering, all these terms have different meaning. But as a software developer or a full stack developer, sometimes we tend to interchangeably keep using them. हम कभी एरर को बग बोल देते हैं, कभी बग को डिफेक्ट बोल देते हैं, कभी एक्सेप्शन को एरर बोल देते हैं. बट एक्चुअली अपने आप में टेक्निकली प्रैक्टिकली दे आर वेरी डिफरेंट फ्रॉम ईच अदर. राइट? सो try to use the muscles of your brain, try to brainstorm, try to come up with the meanings, try to note down, jot down the differences between them. It might help you in some of the interview as well. Okay, so to start the class today with, let us first clearly understand, very clearly, difference between what is an error and what is an exception. So here we go. Fine. These are just the 2 points or 1 point I've mentioned here, which is a heart, or let me say the center of discussion. Alright, so errors are the problems in a program due to which program stops the execution. Are you understanding? And remember one thing, who is responsible for the error, programmer himself or herself? I hope you got my point here. Is that okay? Fine, the logic is wrong, the syntax is wrong. So who is responsible? The programmer himself or herself. So errors are those problems due to which the program will stop any execution further. Right? ठीक है, एक बार एरर आ गया तो उसके नीचे का कोड भी रन नहीं होता है. फॉर दोज ऑफ माई फ्रेंड्स हु अंडरस्टैंड हिंदी हियर, ओके, आप में से वो बच्चे जो हिंदी समझते हैं, एरर आ गया तो बस उधर ही स्टॉप, एंड हो जाएगा. नीचे का फ्लो पर नॉर्मल फ्लो कंटिन्यू होता ही नहीं है. Am I right? The normal flow by the program is not continued once the error is encountered. Alright, fine. But number 2, what are exception? Exception happens when some internal events occur and changes the normal flow of the program. You know, most of the time maybe I might not be responsible as a programmer for exception also. I hope you, for example, I want to open a file, but there existed or there occurred some input output error in the memory, but I'm not responsible for bringing this input output or IO error in the memory. Is that okay? So that is not an error, people, that's an exception. Number 2, for those who did not understand, come on, take another example. This is a little low level example. I input 2 number from the user. So the first number is 4, second number is 8. User entered, and I want to tell you what is 4 divided by 8. Second time, first number is 8, second number is 4, then I have to return him what is 8 divided by 4. So 2 times my program ran beautifully and it gave the expected output. But the third time, the user entered first number as 4 and the second number as 0, and we all know very well a number cannot be divided by 0. Denominator kabhi 0 nahi hota hai. This is what I want to say. Okay, like 0 divided by 4, how much? 0, that's for sure. But this particular expression has no answer in mathematics. We generally say this is infinity, correct? Means not defined. I hope you got my point. This is infinity or not defined. So denominator cannot be 0. So in the first trial, my program executed. Second attempt, my program executed. But in the third attempt, अरे who knew in advance so दूसरा number 0 enter करेगा, correct? Am I right? You are blaming me as a programmer to generate that error. अरे but I knew in advance or what? Are you understanding my point of argument? Did I know this fact in advance that second number you are going to input as 0? No. Now because you inputted it as 0, this is a division by 0 error. I hope you got my point. Is that okay? It's fine. So these are called as some internal events that takes place and which abruptly stops the program. Okay, if all these examples were clearly understood, you penetrated deep into your brain, please acknowledge to us in the chat section. Otherwise, I can still extend and give you yet more examples. Is that okay? Fine. So here we go. Okay, fine. So this is the basic difference between error and exception. Exception happens when some internal events take place. Recall that example of 0 division again. But 5 times my program ran successful. 6th attempt or 7th attempt it failed just because the denominator or the second number inputted was 0. Got it, ma'am. Thank you. Right, so basically this is not an error, this is a kind of exception. Okay, which changes the normal flow of the program. Alright, fine. So this is what we are going to practically learn today. First of all, if you think the code is going to contain any error, because I know very well I'm coding this, I should logically think this thing in mind. क्या अगर उसने दूसरा नंबर 0 एंटर कर दिया तो कैसे हैंडल करेंगे? You got my point? For example, the first number is something negative or positive, but what if the second number is 0? So I doubt this particular piece of code, am I right? I doubt this particular piece of code. So when I know a particular code is going to generate an error and it is going to stop the flow of the program, we try to handle such code. Right? This is exactly what is called as an exception handling. You understood my point? Fine. जब आपको doubt होता है, if the length of the list, for example, I want to extract the 10th element from the list. People 10th element from the list, but I don't know whether the list length is more than 9 and 10. Whether the 10th element exists in the list also or not. What if the list is hardly of 3 and 4 in length? So I doubt this fact. So such code which has been doubted upon, we write in such a way that it is able to handle that particular error or exception. Okay, so handling such code is called as nothing but exception handling. Good, thank you. Fine, alright. Different types of exception. First of all, syntax error. This is one type of exception. I'm not going to read this full list here. Just 2 or 3 will read and we'll start with the work, then we'll come back to this slide again, because by that time you will be in a better state to understand most of these. Okay, syntax error. Okay, this is an exception triggered when some syntax is wrong. Say, I'm coding but I don't know the syntax of if statement or the loop, for while loop in Python. So this code I doubt upon, maybe it will generate an error of wrong syntax. Are you understanding? Right, so I'll make use of the exception handling tricks so that this program doesn't end up in an error in an abrupt way. Okay, type error, it's like a data type error. In fact, this is the first program I'm going to write, data type error. For example, let's come directly here. Let me open a new file. Okay. Okay, so I want to add 10 plus 10. Okay, so it says me 20. I want to add, say, let me write like this way, say MUM and BAI. Okay, so it successfully got added, I should say concatenated as a string Mumbai. But this time I want to add, this time I want to add 10 with Mumbai. What do you think? What will happen? No, sorry, this is a type error. Could you see the exception raised, people? A type error hai. How do you expect? How do you even expect a number can be added with a string? No. Am I right? How can a number be added with a string? That is not possible. Either both of these operands must be integers or both of these operands must be a string. So the data type mismatch happened here. That's what they've written here. Int and string cannot be added. This is a type error. Is that okay? Fine. Now suppose if I don't know whether this particular code will work or not. Okay, ये देखिए प्रोग्राम बीच में स्टॉप हो गया, ये इसके आगे रन भी नहीं होगा. Now if I don't know whether this particular code will run or not, people, this is my first important task of the class today. Look what will we do. When you doubt a code contains an error, the most safe way is to write it inside a try block. Okay, those who are coming here from the background of Java, this might be very simple for them. Is it okay? Because there we make use of try catch blocks. Correct or not? Python doesn't have any catch. Instead of catch, what keyword we use here, I'll mention shortly. Got it? Fine. So this is how the try block is constructed. जो कोड पर आपको शक है, जिस पर आपको डाउट है कि भाई रन होगा कि नहीं होगा, एरर तो नहीं आ जाएगा ना. So let that doubted code be written under the try block. This explanation what I gave you, most of the authors you will find it written this way. आप देखोगे बहुत सारे experts बाहर ऐसा jargon use करते हैं. Try, run this code. Look at this picture clearly. Inside the try block, we always write the code which you want to execute. But what is the characteristic of this code? This code is the most doubted upon code. Is that okay? Now, in case if any error occurs, try and except block. Yeah, correct, Naveen. Right? In case if any error happens in this code, people, that is what is the meaning of try. Remember, try should be compulsorily followed by except. आपने try लिखा ना तो except लिखना पड़ेगा फिर. No, you can't write just try alone. Try has to be accompanied with except. Try का meaning यही होता है, try this code. If there is no error, go ahead. But if there occur any error in this code, कोई bug, कोई fault, कोई defect lines of code में मिलता है, हाँ तो how to handle it, you have to give the answer for that. Got it? Is that okay? So come back here. So try this piece of code. Try this piece of code. If it works well. Okay, why it is showing me this part? Can anyone tell me there is nothing wrong in indentation, but it is still showing me some red part here? What could be the reason? It is still telling me there's an error. I just told you this part. Can anyone guess why that red warning still, or the red line still? What could be the reason behind? I'm trying to search the error, but actually there is something else. Yes, you are missing except partner of it. Got it? Am I right? That error warning won't be gone until you write an except part of try. That's what I told you. Once you write try का मतलब ही यही होता है. Try these lines of code. If no error found, well, green signal, go ahead. अरे but what if the error has been occurred here? तो क्या करे, कैसे हैंडल करे, कैसे डील करे, उसका जवाब भी आपको ही देना पड़ेगा. That will be mentioned by except block. Are you understanding? Fine. I am writing a simple way to handle this error. You can write 100 of different messages here. I am simply writing a print something happened. Okay, or something went wrong. Let me write this way. Okay, something went wrong. Fine. So last time, this is what, the ugly way my program stopped working. Ugly way. Maybe my end user won't understand the meaning of this technical statements also. आप जिसके लिए application software बना रहे हैं, maybe that fellow won't be able to understand what these lines of code is, and who will break head to understand as a non-IT person. So let me write some messages in a lenient English language. Okay, let us run this code now. Okay, execute. Oh, fine. So this looks pretty simple. Something went wrong. Fine. Isn't it cool to get an output this way rather than reading this traceback error this way? Is it okay? Fine. So this is what is the basic structure of exception handling is. The code which has been doubted upon. Remember my way of speaking. जिस पे आपको शक है, आपको डाउट है, सो लेट दैट ऑल लाइन्स ऑफ कोड be entered inside the try block. If there is no error, come on, for example, Maharashtra, Mumbai. Okay, now if there is no error, let's see what happens. Yeah, so that means that is simply concatenated, correct or not? Is that okay? But in case if there is an error, then except will elaborate or except will guide what to do in that case. Is that fine? All of us here, please, shall be waiting for your acknowledgement in the chat section. Is this clear? Before I could go ahead, there are many more examples coming up back to back. Rakesh, Naveen, Raji Guru, who else was here, and others of my friends also who are attending the classes. Okay, let me know. Come on, let me know by the time we go ahead. Alright, fine. Take it. Next. So this is what I have mentioned here. Let me increase the size of the font in case if you are also reading with me. Understood. Okay. Thank you. Done. This part is done. These are my simple teaching pointers. Good, thank you. Fine. So that I don't forget what we have planned for the day. Okay, fine. Let's take this one. Okay, let's take this one. What is this piece of code doing? You tell me now. Same thing what I did up. Okay, same thing what I did up. So I'm asking you to enter your name and enter the year you were born. Okay, then I want to print your age. Now if you were born in 1980, so your age I roughly calculate 2024, the current year minus 1980. Thank you everyone. So if you were born in 1990 or maybe if you were born in 2000, 2024 minus that much. Is it okay? I'm showing it in whole number, not in months and all, for a clear explanation. Okay, so when I try to run this particular piece of code, it again return. Okay, fine. Enter your name, sir. Enter my name as Raj. Enter the year you were born, say 1990. तो 1990 के हिसाब से मीन्स व्हाट, तो उसकी एज अभी 10, 20, 30, 34, 35 होना चाहिए था, राइट? बट it tells me no, something went wrong. Something has gone wrong. Now what went wrong actually? The year which you entered was accepted by default as a string. Am I right? You need to convert this into integer. Am I right? Because same thing, the way addition can work only with the same data type, subtraction will also work with the same data type. Is that okay? How can you subtract integer from string or vice versa, string from integer? A minus B both has to be a number to be subtracted from. Am I right? एक बार plus तो भी addition कर देता है. How the two strings can be subtracted? It doesn't make any sense. Right? So fine. So let me make some changes here. So let me convert this into either int or float. And then run the same code again. So enter your name. Maybe I enter the name as Raj. Enter the year you were born, say 1990. Okay, so your age is 34. Is that okay? That means your age is 34. I've used the formatting here. I hope you better understand this part. Correct? So this is nothing but one and the same. What we tried up. The only thing is here my try block is made up of more than one line of code. Correct? More than one line of code. Okay? Chaliye. Okay. A little different way. Suppose it is possible, you know, that there is not one, there are more than one type of error. Okay, there is not one, there are more than one type of error. For example, look at this code. Okay, I doubt. Okay, so enter your name, enter the year you were born, and your age will be not 2019 but 2024 में से we are subtracting. Okay, your name is name and your age is age. Now, up until now what we were doing, we were just writing except as except block, correct? But if you want to handle a specific exception, come back to my PPT here, there's so many types of error. It is possible that you want to accept a specific type of error, then you have to write the name of that exception. Are you understanding? Say, for example, if there is a data type error, then print this message. If there is a value error, understood? Value error means what? Argument I am accepting as an integer, but you have entered a date. So that's a different value, correct or not? That's what I've written here. Come to value error definition. This exception is triggered when a function or a method is called with invalid argument or input. Like you're trying to convert string to integer, people. How can Mumbai be converted into int, correct or not? Value error समझ रहे हैं आप? Say convert into integer 10. Check. Yep, so that is converted. But if you say convert into integer, say Delhi 6. It's a value error. Are you understanding? How can Delhi or Delhi 6 be converted into integer? It's a wrong value you inputted. Fine. So I doubt here there could be more than one type of error. And with a specific error, I want to provide a specific message. What will you understand if I write something went wrong? Of course, nobody will break head what went wrong. You are not a software engineer. I am I right? As my client, मेरे customer या मेरे client की तौर पर, अरे why would you break your head? So I need to provide you a clear message what went wrong, right? Come on, those of my friends who understood this point which I am arguing with you all, please acknowledge to me yes or no. Something went wrong. Is this a good way of conveying the message? Definitely वो आपका client है, वो पूछेगा भाई क्या गलत हुआ? Am I right? अरे what went wrong? So this is how the series of exception I am holding here. If this error happens, provide him the clear message this way. Like an if else ladder, people. Am I right? That exception happens, provide him the crystal clear message in words that way. Other exception happens, provide him the crystal clear exceptions in that way. I hope you got my point. Whichever first exception is encountered, you come out of the loop or block. You understood? At a time, a try can return only one exception. If there are more than one, whichever first exception occur, that particular exception block executes and you're out of the try except block. I'm waiting, guys. Yes, ma'am. Clearly understood. Thank you. Okay, आप बोलोगे टाइप एरर भी है, जीरो डिवीजन एरर भी है मेरा कोड में, वैल्यू एरर भी है मेरा कोड में, सिंटैक्स एरर भी है मेरा कोड में. अरे तो क्रोनोलॉजिकली whichever first one occur will be handled and you will be brought out of the try except block. Is that okay? All of us here fine. So this is 3 different errors which I'm trying to handle here. I think the first one that is going to happen is nothing but yes, type error only. Type error, because this year is accepted in a string. Year is accepted in a string and you're trying to subtract string and a number. Right? So let's see how to deal with that. Running this part of code. Running this piece of code. Okay. Oh, I think I went wrong in indentation somewhere. Oh, let me get rid of this. Here we go. Here we go. Okay, so enter your name. Say Mr. Raj. Enter the year you were born. Say 1990. Sorry, this is a type error. Is that okay? Okay, but this time what I do, I get rid of type error. So let me convert this part into integer. Okay, so there is sure that there is not going to be a data type error. And I try to run this code. Enter your name. So I enter the name as Raj. Enter the year you were born. So I write like this: 1990. Sorry, this is value error. I hope you understood why value error. Because when you entered 1990 in a string, So this variable accepted string, right? And you're actually trying to convert, friends, int is actually trying to convert here 1990 into integer. How is it possible? So that's a value error, am I right? Bus, the value error has occurred and it came out of it. Okay, I would be glad if someone acknowledge me this part understood or not. पहला डेटा टाइप एरर आया, चलिए वो सॉल्व कर दिया, फिर वैल्यू एरर आ गया. Is that okay? Division by zero error will not happen here because I'm not dividing anything. Is that okay? I'm not dividing anything. Okay, in case if you were trying to divide something here, okay, you were trying to divide something here, so how would this work? How would this work? I've already converted into integer. Understood. Thank you. Thank you. I'm trying to divide 2024 by your age. Huh? I'm trying to do that. Enter your name. My name is Raj. Enter the year you were born, 0. So that's 0 division error. Because as per our expression, 2024 is divided by that variable. No, 2024 divided by 0, there is no such value of expression. It's an infinity. So you are out. Hoping you are understanding. Alright? Alright, fine. That's all. Okay, come on. Coming back to next part. Okay, fine. And suppose if there was no error that took place. Okay, so you can accompany this entire thing with else also. Okay, else also, like print successful. Okay, successful. Right? I give you a demo of how does it work. Okay, so let me first write here not division but subtraction. Okay, else part, people, else. What is the meaning of that? See, enter your name. My name is Raj. Enter the year you were born. So I was born in the year 1990. Fine. That means your age is 34. And there were no exceptions. This part got executed. Else. But if I run this again, those who did not understand, if I run this code again, okay, if I run this code again, I don't convert into integer this time. I don't convert into integer, means it contains type error, right? It contains type error. Oh God, 1 minute please, there's something wrong happened here. There's something wrong happened here, wait. Okay, wait for a moment, there's something wrong that went here. Okay, I do it again. I do it again. It's working. Okay, it's working. Fine. So it is asking me to enter my name. I enter my name as Raj. Enter the year you were born in 1990. So this time it did not show me the message successful. Am I right? If you could little use the muscles of your brain and think what was the reason. Fine. So else part is executed only when there were no exceptions caught. Am I right? Fine. If there were no exceptions, suppose 10 different exceptions I coded, and you were out from all these exceptions, none of these exceptions occurred, then else part executes. But if you were stuck up or caught by even a single exception, come on, if your code was caught by even a single exception, then else won't be executed. Right? So this is the structure: try, except, else. But suppose you want to give a message in any way, like if there was an exception found, there was no exception found. हर हाल में, in any condition, any criteria, so even if exception happened, if any exception does not happen, you still want to print a message, then you can make use of a finally block. Okay, generally this block we make use of, for acknowledgement messages. Okay, print, say I'm writing here, out of exception handling. Okay, finally. So finally doesn't depend upon the upper conditions, whether there was any exception or there were no exception. This particular, yes, else part understood, ma'am, thank you. Okay, whether there was any exception occurred or there did not any exception occur, finally promise to execute in both the case. I hope you got my point. Is that okay? Fine. Alright. So I assume this part you have understood. So let me run this again. Let me run this part again till finally. Okay, after certain moment of time, when we use a lot of bandwidth and people connected gets more, my Visual Studio Code bit slows down. Okay, so please cooperate with us. Fine. Enter your name. My name is Raj. Enter the year you were born. That's 1990. Okay, so this is an error which happened. But this message was still printed. That is, you are out of exception handling. Correct? And suppose if there were no, if there were no errors found or no exception found, say I convert it properly into integer. Okay, and again I run this code for the last time. I run this particular code for the last time. Wait, I'm connected. In case if you are confused. Alright. Fine, so I enter my name. Oh, that's pathetic. Anyways, I hope that part is clear from your end. Is it okay? Done? Fine? Alright. 1 minute, please. Okay, fine. Coming back here. Okay. Alright, fine. Now suppose you want Python itself to handle the exception, and you don't want to write so many exceptions on your own. Then you can simply cut short the above list of except blocks, except 1, except 2, except condition 3, except condition 4, except exception 5, except exception 6 into this way, except exception as E. Okay, exception as E. The code is same, only focus on the part I'm highlighting. Focus on the part as I'm highlighting. Okay, when you write exception as E, that means the caught exception will be expressed as a string stored in E. Okay, now we don't know, say I might have coded the possibility of 10 exceptions, but some 11th exception only happened. Alright, my those friends who understand Hindi here, मैंने 10 exception सोच रखा था, but कोई 11वां ही हो गया. 10 different exceptions I thought upon, but some 11th happened. So let Python handle it its own way. Whatever is an exception, we can accept it or we can code it as an object of the main class exception. Got it? Fine. So when you say exception as E, so the class exception automatically handles the exception, and whatever is an exception that is presented in a string E, or the string we store it in E, and you simply print it. I hope you got my point. Rakesh is asking means finally always return. Yes, Rakesh, that's the difference between finally and else ना. Finally और else के बीच में वही difference होता है. Finally promises always to execute. So you have to think what message you want to write it in which block. Understood? So you want to display a message. Some part of code is yet left to execute. The program below is still left to execute. But I want to tell you program is still left to execute in both the condition. Whether there is an exception, there is not an exception. So in that case, I'll be making use of finally block. Okay? Okay, if it doesn't take time, let me run this code quick. And if it takes time, I'll only go through. Okay. Control C. Control V. Let me run this particular piece of code. Enter. Oh God, I'm fed up from this. Okay, enter your name and I enter my name as Raj. Enter the year you were born. I enter the year as 1990. Okay, so I think this did not run. Okay, never mind. In case if my Visual Studio Code is hanging here, whatever code you are understanding now, I'll run it probably next time in the Monday's class. Is it okay? At least try to understand the essence here. Okay, or I'll do one more thing. I'll keep my Jupyter notebook also open. Okay, by the time it takes to open, let's quickly go through. Alright, fine. Now last part of exception handling. Last part. You know, sometimes we intentionally want to raise an exception. Okay, intentionally we want to raise an exception. Now what is the reason behind that? Sometimes it happens, you know, the code is logically right, but our criteria doesn't meet. Okay, my criteria doesn't meet. For example, there is a list of 10 students and I definitely want in another list only 10 ages to be accepted, correct? I repeat this point again. Say this is a list of 10 students. Okay, say student number 1, Mr. Rajesh. Student number 2, Mr. John. Student number 3, Mr. Wilson. Student number 4, Mr. Ram. Student number 5, Mr. Somebody. I hope you got my point. So there are total 5 students. So definitely the list of age should also accept only 5 ages, correct? So one has an age 16, another is again 16, third one is 17, fourth one is again 16, fifth one is 15. So 5 students should have respectively 5 ages only. But suppose somehow, you know, this number entered were total 6. Is it okay? And now suppose if I write here if age, or let me say the length of age is greater than 5. Now you see it is yes greater than 5. So the condition is actually true. Am I right? The condition is actually true. Wait for a moment. That's it. Wait for a moment, people. We are actually going through some bandwidth issue here. Wait for a moment, stay connected. Okay, never mind, we'll work with this code. Is that okay? Now suppose if that condition exists and length of this list age is greater than 5, right? I want to throw an exception. Exception did not occur here. I want to intentionally throw an exception. So in that case we write raise exception. Let me use my notepad here. Okay, so say, okay, so if length of the list age is greater than 5, now there is logically nothing wrong in this statement, correct? Everything is right. I want to intentionally raise an exception here. Okay, I want to intentionally raise an exception here by saying, okay, that length cannot be more than 5. Is that okay? Fine. I ask you to enter your age. Come on, let us take another example. I ask you to enter your age. So you entered the age as, instead of 18, you entered the age as minus 18. Alright. Now I know very well that this is also a number. Am I right? And if I just want to say you that no, bhai, age cannot be, anything less than 0. So simple. So if age is less than 0, intentionally throw means raise an exception. Okay, raise an exception saying the age cannot be negative. Hoping you are understanding it. Okay, this all concepts I'll actually execute it for you in case if you have not understood in the Monday's class. Okay, but I hope the concept you kept it understood at your end. Alright, fine. Now ideally हम exception कब raise करते हैं? When do we raise exception? When you are bothered about the validation part of the software. Okay, so I want to do certain validation here. So I don't want to allow you to enter any email ID without @ I don't want to allow you to enter any age which is a negative number. I don't want to allow you to enter any list which is more than 5 or 10 in length. Okay, so in that case we intentionally raise an exception although there were no exceptions. Okay, there is not an error in this code, na guys, am I right? If age is less than 0, come on, tell me, मुझे बताइए आप लोग, आप बताइए ये बात. If age is less than 0, oh god, this is pathetic. Okay, if age is less than 0 and I say print cannot be negative. Am I? So is there any exception here? No, the program is correct. It is giving me an error. No, but I want an exception to be raised here. You understood? A flag to be raised here. So in that case, we intentionally throw an exception using the keyword raise. Okay, somebody please acknowledge, is this concept clear or not? Are you understanding what am I talking here? Fine. Alright, okay. Let's have a quick recap of what we have learned today. We saw exception handling. Firstly, we saw the difference between what is an error and exception. Errors are always something that will stop the flow of the normal execution of the program. Exceptions always happen due to some internal conditions which will abrupt the flow or may not. Exceptions need to be handled. Try except we make use of to handle the exceptions. Is that okay? Except and try. Inside the try block, we always write the code which we doubt upon. Followed by try block, we always have one or more than one except blocks. Except block always answers how to handle an exception if it occurs in the try block. We also have a structure called as try, except and else. In the else, we mention if there were no exceptions, then what message do you want to give? Hoping you are understanding. Finally, we always write Yes, Navid, I'm sending today's also and the last times also. Finally guarantees you to execute in both the criteria, whether there was any exception or there wasn't any exception. And finally, we learned how to intentionally raise an exception. Is that okay? People, we have some problem in sending you an attendance list today. Attendance. I'll still try. In case if you are not successful at it, then you better send us your names. Okay, wait for a moment. Okay, I think it is sent. Is it fine? That is sent. All of us fine. See you back again on Monday. Till then, goodbye, take care, and a happy weekend. Okay, Emir, thank you from us to you. Okay, your message we are reading now. You are okay. Thank you. That's so good. I hope this is how you pronounce your name, Emir or Emre from Turks. Alright, fine. Those who want to leave may leave. Navin had asked me one question in the chat section, that what is preferably used in industry, Visual Studio Code or Jupyter Notebook. People, see, Jupyter Notebook and all the other utilities in Anaconda comes with some inbuilt soft Python packages. Okay, people who work with Anaconda and its utility like Jupyter, Spider and all, they are more into data science, machine learning, data cleaning and deep learning. But as a full stack developer, more than Jupyter Notebook, Visual Studio Code is a preferred version. Good, thank you, Nisha. Yes. Okay, Visual Studio Code, when you work in industry, for example, they work with an enterprise or a standard edition, but the Visual Studio Code we are working with is a free tool. Okay, so that is one of the most basic difference between the two. Jupyter is specifically designed for writing ML programs in either Python or R. Hoping you are understanding it. Clear? Fine. So as a full stack developer, you are on a right platform. You need not to worry for that. Okay. Goodbye. Take care.